I'm going to go over a work that I created a while back, and if anybody wants the PDF of this, just comment down below, be more than happy, or connect with me at theangelencourager@gmail.com. But it's actually about the 4 levels of consciousness. And I started out by saying, are you scared or are you sacred? So I'm just going to kind of read off of this a little bit. And I hope that's not boring to seeing me reading. But the reason it really made me think about that is I was really, first of all, I was thinking of, and I, because I'm a quantum physics geek, I was thinking about the equation E equals mc squared. And I started thinking about, well, m is matter or mass. So we as human beings have our own mass. And how does that correlate to the energy that is possible for us? Because we keep talking about frequency and vibration and energy levels. So let's put this into real frame of mind. So if you take the average mass of the average human being and you take that by the speed of light squared, which is what the equation says to do, you have over 90 quadrillion joules in your mass. That is a lot of energy just to, if it could be converted, just to give you an idea, to run, say, a refrigerator takes about 1,000 joules per second. So 90 quadrillion joules, that would run it for like 2,800 years. So just to get an idea of the potential energy that is in just your bodily system. So these different levels of consciousness have to do with how you are expressing that energy out there into the world. Because those joules that are in you, those are potential energies. Those are energies. You're like a battery, if you can think about that. You're like this battery system. And how you use this and how you express it and how you take it out into the world is how everything is moved. So it's very important. I've even talked before about this infographic that I've created because I like to think of our consciousness also as different phases of water. It makes a lot of sense to me. So if you look at our mass, at our matter, at our body, at space-time, at the 3D space that we are living in, that is like ice. So it's the lowest, it's the densest, it's the most solid existence that is possible. And you can also see it doesn't move very fast. And it doesn't change very fast either. It has to melt first. Then you get up into your brain, and that is like moving water. That's like flowing water. And that's like, that it's very movable, but it is also still very affected by things like gravity and different fields of energy that our matter is affected by. Because the interesting thing is, as you get up to higher levels, and those 90 quadrillion joules would be, so if you could convert that to energy, those joules are not actually affected by like thermodynamics and gravity, and some of these other laws of physics no longer have effect over that level. Then as you get up into your spirit, into your higher being, that's when you get into like mist and fog. You can see it's much more movable. Things happen a lot more instantly. And space and time have less and less distinction and less effect. And then at the highest level, and this is where you get into the angelic realm, the universal realm, this is plasma. And that is where things are just all at the same time. It's that infinite void full of nothingness where everything is. I know that's hard to even conceive about that, but that is actually what's there. It's like this infinite space of dark matter, dark space, dark energy that we do not know what that is, but that is where the magic is. That's where everything is. Everything is held there. That's where all of our potentiality, all of our possibility is right there. So I'm going to go back to these 4 levels of consciousness. So the first one is victimhood. And it's where I believe I'm a product of my environment. I'm always in a reactionary mood, or mode rather, circumstances, genetics, socioeconomic environment, aspects of my physical world control and decide for me what is possible. I try to just make the best choices from what is provided to me. I cannot think outside of what I and others expect from me. Amazing things only happen to other people. Miracles are rare if ever. Pray and meditate out of desperation, asking for God to step in and overcome my difficulties. That's really important to think about, because we are told to pray and to immediately give thanks. So it's about, you ask and then you immediately realize that the answer has happened. But when we are in this victimhood state, we're beggars is what we are, and we are not built to be beggars. That's why it feels so bad. We're feeling stuck and powerless most of the time. Pain and suffering are a judgment of us and our unworthiness. Just trying to get by, feeling overwhelmed. Never seems to be enough time or energy. If on a spiritual path, tend to turn to God as a last hope, often wondering why the divine would even listen to my pleas. And often it's not that the angels and that God doesn't hear you, it's that you can't hear them because you don't have the ears of hearing. I've talked before about how the emotional scale actually changes your brain chemistry, and it also changes your hearing as well. So not only can you not hear inside your mind, you can't hear even in your body. So you're not hearing those things that are being said to you that are bringing you those new senses of joy, those new senses of light and hope, and passion and inspiration. You're not where you can understand. It's like a foreign language to you. The next level is the goal seeker. Here I set goals and I push and strive until I make things happen. I believe my world is a product of how hard I work and how committed I am. Overall, things fall apart without my diligence and care, but I can keep all of my plates spinning if I stay focused. I depend on motivation. I start to see people as winners and losers. Miracles such as synchronicity and the right people and circumstances showing up at the right time are beginning to happen on a fairly regular basis, but I don't feel in control of that component. Pray and meditate for strength and to keep enemy forces at bay. Feel failure when I don't live up to my expectations and use that pain as a motivator tool. Running from unhappiness. Now that's really important. It's always important to ask yourself, are you running from or running towards? Because when you're running towards something, you're in a space where you're reaching out and you have this level of belief and expectancy of the next moment being good. But if you're running from something, you're actually looking behind, and you're going to run into something. You have lists of goals, to-do lists. Don't take a lot of time to enjoy accomplishments. If on a spiritual path you see divine as a collaborator and champion in the cause, it's very black and white thinking in terms of what is right and wrong. You're very inelastic in that stage. The next stage is the manifestor. This is where it starts to get kind of fun. I now understand that my life is a reflection of my attitudes, thoughts, beliefs, and expectations. I understand that emotions are a monitor to let me know if something is in my best alignment. Spend more time on keeping in a certain flow of frequency than worrying about the mechanics of how things get done. Life is moving on a generally upward curve of desired circumstances becoming true. Prayer and meditation are of extreme importance in taking care of self and disciplining the mind to routine. Miracles and flow are fairly common and almost expected, still taken by surprise and how easily things seem to come along, but shaken when manifestations don't appear as expected. Pain and fear are used more as a guidance on the path than as a motivation or a judgment of failure. Still very much direct the specific intentions of what is desired. If pursuing a spiritual path, go through periods of intense soul searching and clearing of negative thoughts and emotions, but feel the presence of the divine everywhere. So that is really a good place to be. The last one is service. Truly aligned with the divine calling to manifest the desires of a higher being, simply willing to surrender to the will of what should be and allowing everything to be in divine flow. in a constant state of prayer, meditation, looking for inspiration and guidance. Now, that doesn't mean you're down on your knees or in your closet or anything like that. It's just that you're constantly having that conversation. You're constantly you're living almost in these dual worlds of like you're living in your higher being space and in your material world space at the same time. You're conscious of both. So you really have this very expanded mind view, and your brain has expanded itself to where it can keep both of those consciousnesses going at the same time, because you're also allowing a lot of the things in the material world to just take care of themselves, because you understand it's about your being and not your doing, and that you are always supported in every single moment. Trusting instinct and spiritual connection above logic, tapped into universal wisdom and able to sense and know things that we have no reason or ability to understand an old mindset. Miracles are happening in every moment. Not only are miracles commonplace, they are necessary. Existence itself is a miracle, and everything depends on the mechanics of divine wisdom and flow to be. No longer surprised by manifestations, since they are the natural order of being. That's just the way life happens for you. Now, we will all rise and dip into different levels of consciousness through this growing phase we call life. There is not one level that is better than another, for everything serves the good of all. Life is more pleasant and joyful the higher your state of consciousness, and all levels are possible for everyone, because there aren't necessarily mile markers of like you have this much in your account, or you have this type of relationship or whatever. It's all based upon your identity and your state of being in that moment. Sometimes our toughest, lowest periods of time, life turn into the greatest lessons and reap the most rewards in our fulfillment of life. Only through great tragedy can we truly appreciate joy and bliss. Our suffering only occurs when we judge that something that is should be different. When we release the need to control existence, our life becomes magical and filled with joy. So I hope that's just been kind of a little primer on that there are different levels of consciousness. They are all available to everybody, and it really has to do with the true work of a human being, and that is how to be, how to exist, how to identify, how to focus and intend, and how to understand everything that we are, everything we do, and everything that is, we are at cause for. And once we take that responsibility, we can understand we now have the ability to direct things how we would prefer and live in a place of joy and peace and happiness almost all the time. And as we let go of expectation and really start to interpret things in a way to where we understand everything is absolutely a gift, and we no longer have to suffer through things, because suffering is when you decide that things should be different than the way they are. But if you accept things as being perfect the way they are right now, that there is a true divine reason for everything, then you open yourself up to the possibilities of how this moment is a true gift for you, and you stop putting so much emphasis on one moment and taking away emphasis from another, in that, say Christmas Day is more important than the day after Christmas or something of that nature, like we used to do when we were kids. It's now about every moment is special. Every moment, even in those moments where we might not really be necessarily wanting that moment, we can still understand that that moment has its own specialness, and it has just as much specialness as the next moment. And it really starts to feel like every day you've lived lifetimes when you start appreciating every present moment. It makes your life not slow down in where you're like in boredom and can't wait for the next moment to pass. It's just that you feel like you're just living lifetimes in every present moment, and you're like, my gosh, how long am I on this earth? How long am I in this plane? How long am I experiencing this? It seems so expanded, because you're getting the sense of so many different energies all at the same time while you're living your own life. And you're understanding the patterns of other people and yourself, and it's all becoming very congruent, and it is so expansive and so rich and so flavorful in every single moment. and you stop giving importance to a lot of things that you gave importance to before, and understand that you can have joy from just these simple moments of breathing and existing and being. And love, peace. Hey, while I've got you, have you ever wondered more about the angels, who they are, how they can help you in your life, and what you can do, and what your full potentiality is? How do you live in joy? How do you have peace? How do you have health and abundance and good relationships? And just how can you traverse the angelic realm and finally let go of the pain and suffering that you are going through right now in whatever is in your life? You ever wondered? I would love for you to join my free private Facebook group, Divine Angelic Manifestors. You'll see the link at the end of this video, or down below rather, but go to facebook.com/groups/Divine Angelic Manifestors. It's free, it's private. I would love to see you there. Love, peace, release.